Earlier, I spoke to Lilit Gevorgyan, a London-based analyst with IHS Global Insight and a specialist on Russia and the former USSR. I began by asking her reaction to the diplomatic agreement that was supposed to diminish tensions between Ukraine and Russia.
I think it was quite a positive development, particularly when in the beginning of the day we heard Vladimir Putin during his televised question and answer session being far more assertive. However, I have to say that I think all parties involved in these talks had something in common, and that was to avoid military confrontation, and I think hammering out a deal whereby use of force will be delayed at least or not resorted to is quite positive news.
Now, the diplomats can hammer out, forge an agreement, but that doesn't necessarily mean that these groups will lay down their arms and walk away, and that's what we're kind of finding in Donetsk. What are your thoughts about this refusal of some of these groups not to comply?
I think the eastern regions, or the groups that are operating in eastern regions, will still have to sort of credibly establish their affiliation. There is a concern among some ethnic Russians in eastern Ukraine and southern Ukraine that if they abandon their posts, then they're sort of losing some leverage on Kiev. At the same time, it puts pressure on the Ukrainian government to find ways of not escalating the situation, but also making sure that the Russia at least delivers on its promise that there will be some assistance to de-escalation of the situation, and this assistance could manifest itself by sending a strong signal to these armed militia groups to abandon administrative and police buildings.
So is that the method to resolve the conflict as it is now, you think?
I think the only way forward is to find political process that would involve all parties to the conflict within Ukraine, to try to involve all interested parties in the constitutional reform talks, make sure that everyone is on board with presidential elections, that everyone takes part in these elections, that Ukraine finally has a government that is representative of all sections, and that there are no pockets of unrest and people claiming that it's an illegitimate government.